The loop group sessions are pretty fun because they're kind of working the room more, like circling. They typically, like for city streets, they do a pass which they'll call call outs, and they'll just go down the line. They'll all line up in a half circle and just take turns yelling things. And this isn't it's not meant to be played as recorded. It's meant for the editor to have these loud sort of projected things with spaces in between, and they can sort of make their cuts and edits and sort of sprinkle those throughout as needed. It's kind of like a spice. And then when they do the milling around kind of a thing, they'll literally walk past the microphone to give it motion rather than standing still. So they'll walk past the mic while they're talking. So they might do it in pairs, and they call those pass-bys, and they'll just sort of walk by the microphone. So they're all kind of doing this loop in my studio, and it might be a group of them, and they know what they're doing, so they don't step on each other, and they all say their lines, and when you hear it back and you mix it into your show, it has the effect of sounding, it has motion to it, because they're coming away from the microphone, on axis, off axis, and it's way more believable than if they just stood still and done the same acting. It fits in, and it feels like it was actually recorded on the set as opposed to done later on. So it's interesting. They'll do crosses in front of the microphone. They call them donuts when they do it in circles. If it's an interior shot, they'll typically act, and they'll even face away from the microphone into the walls and talk, and instead of facing towards the microphone. So it just sounds like they're background people, and it's just all about recreating what's real. You don't want it to be present and on microphone. You want it to be almost indistinguishable dialogue that you mix in. And I mean, literally, when you're mixing it, your fader is just a couple of notches off of that minus infinity. Like, it's super low, but it's just enough so you can sense it in the background, and then you have your scene playing, and it's you don't hear it, but you'd miss it if it was gone, if that makes any sense.